Yo, this is my song about the American Revolution. So, in the 1770s, Great Britain was all like, hey, we're not gonna be cool guys to America no more. And here's a bunch of taxes and such. And America was like, yo, that's whack, Holmes. And then they were like, hey, we're gonna have guns and whatnot because we don't like you a lot. And Great Britain, under the rule of King George, was like, yo, you probably shouldn't have those guns, we're gonna take them from you. And then they tried to, and then they died. A lot of people died everywhere. And those were the battles of Lexington and Concord, yo. And then, after that, a lot of Americans were like, hey, I don't know how to feel about this either way, we should probably put an end to these battles, and they tried to, and they failed miserably with the Olive Branch petition and such. And then all of America was like, "Hey, let's declare independence and such and whatnot." And they did. And King Jimmy George the third was like, "Hey, yo, that's not very cool of you at all." And fighting continued for a long time until the Battle of Saratoga, and the Americans won that battle, and they were all like, "Ha, we're the cool boys now. What?" And then important military general of America, George Washington, was like, "Yo, I gotta train my boys," and so he took them to Valley Forge in the winter of 1770 through 1778, and then it wasn't very cool and whatnot, and a lot of people were sick and hungry and such, and they were dying a lot, and just not in general good condition for a while. And then they got back on their feet, and they were back into the brawl, and they were fighting a lot, and they were fighting really good. And then they were like, oh wait, Britain's got a pretty good navy, and that's really strong, so let's go against that. And then they were like swimming through the water, and they were like, whoa man, everything is all wet. Let's do something that doesn't involve earth and being all wet. And so they built a boat, and they fought with John Paul Jones, and then they won after a while, and it was really friggin' cool. And then Spain and France were like a bag of Chex Mix and whatnot, and entered the fray. And they were like, hey, America, Great Britain's not all that cool, but you guys are pretty rad, so we'll hang with you. And so they gave them money and guns and such. And then the war finally ended with the Battle of Yorktown, because the Great British boys were like, hey, we're gonna hang out here in Yorktown, over on the coast. And then the Frances and the Americas were like, hey, no, we're not gonna let you do that. And they surrounded them and attacked a lot of things, and a lot of people died and whatnot. And then General Cornwallis of the Great British Army was like, hey man, we're gonna surrender, you guys are pretty cool boys, you win. And then they signed the Treaty of Paris to end the American Revolution, and America's new borders were the Atlantic to the east, and Canada on the north, and then the Mississippi River to the west, and Florida to the south. And the America boys were like, yeah, that's real cool. And then America was like looking at Florida like, hey man, we might take over you next. But then Spain was like, nah, boys, I think we're gonna have Florida for a little bit. And America was like, oh, I guess that's pretty cool or whatever. And that was the end of the American Revolution. America was now a country full of cool boys, and became the greatest nation in all of the space-time continuum, and we're still super cool to this very day.